Federal Road Safety Corps sensitizes road users on safety on the highway. And Al-Habibi.
Hello there, good evening. Thank you for joining us on the news desk of NTA Channel 5 Abuja at 7. I am Tessie Omeri with the details. The Federal Capital Territory Administration has resolved to partner the House of Representatives Ad Hoc Committee investigating the operations of housing estate developers in the FCT. FCT Minister Muhammad Musa Bello gave this indication when he received members of the committee who paid him courtesy visit in Abuja. Shuaibu Onoze Yakubu has details.
FCT Minister Muhammad Musa Bello has directed that officers on the level of assistant directors from the Department of Land Administration, Resettlement and Compensation, Mass Housing, Survey and Mapping, Development Control, as well as other relevant departments should be assigned to work closely with the committee. This is coming against the backdrop that the private estate development and mass housing policy of the administration is not functioning the way it was intended, hence the needs for realignment. The minister decries frictions that occur between off-takers and developers due to non-disclosure of hidden charges that leads to frustration on the part of the off-takers.
We were supposed to have allocated the land, and we have a responsibility to make sure that developments are done according to regulations established. And we also have a responsibility to make sure that off-takers that live in these estates live in peace. But the reality is it has not worked like that at all. And if there's one aspect of my job as minister that has been very taxing for me, is the issue of the entire process of the mass housing.
Chairman of the Ad Hoc Committee, Blessing Onu, disclosed that the mandate of the committee is to liaise with the relevant agencies of the FCTA with the aim of prosecuting fraudulent estate developers.
We need to interface with the developers and how we can stop them. We are also mandated to liaise with the relevant agencies to prosecute them, the estate developers, where we find fraud or some gaps.
The interface is aimed at sanitizing estate development in the FCT. Shuaibu Onoze Yakubu, NTA News.
The 16 days of activism against gender-based violence has ended with a call on stakeholders to focus on bringing perpetrators to book. The Federal Commissioner and National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Imam Suleiman Ibrahim, stated this when Nigeria Union of Women Journalists, NAWAJ, paid her a courtesy visit. To end 16 days of activism against gender-based violence, Ifeanyi Ezumba has more.
Under the global theme, Orange the World, the 16 Days of Activism Against Gender-Based Violence is an international campaign to challenge violence against women and girls. The Federal Commissioner, Refugees Commission, Imam Suleiman Ibrahim, maintained the need for all to amplify their voices against injustice.
People have been abused. COVID-19 has highlighted us as a people that we are vulnerable, that we must rise above and strengthen our character. I've seen all forms of abuse, from incest to abuse of people where there's trust, by people that you trust. We have come to the height of it. It's very important that we know that these people that abuse others are not spirits, they are amongst us. And if we put our voices together, we can actually fight this abuse.
NAWAJ chairperson Ann Daniels say they want to change the narrative by rising up strongly against perpetrators.
Stiffer punishment and penalty should be given to the offenders. That is what we are advocating. That because Mr. A or Madam A does it and she did not go punished, we give room for another person to do it, even as bad as it is.
High point was presentation of insignia of office to the Federal Commissioner, National Commission for Refugees, Migrants and Internally Displaced Persons, Imam Suleiman Ibrahim. In Abuja, Ifeanyi Isumba, NT News.
Safer highways this yielded road users must strive to achieve to make the festivities worthwhile. Asabetanimu Williams reports that this was the drive of the FCT-FRSC during a sensitization exercise across the nation's capital.
From the Nikon Junction, Maitama, to the busy Jabi Motor Park, the message remained clear. Road users and operators of driving schools need to up their game to ensure sanity on the highways.
Remember, say, every one of us have responsibility. If somebody won't carry overload, tell them, say, that thing no good.
Don't drink, while drive, and stop making use of food on the highway.
The campaign against overspeeding, overloading, wrongful overtaking and poor driving standards featured prominently in the awareness as authorities of the FCT-FRSC engaged drivers.
Everybody using the road in the FCT must take some level of precautions. I want to say that we must reduce our speed while we are driving on the highway. For us in the FCT, we are privileged to have good roads. The government had made so much effort to ensure that the roads are good for us. So we must take advantage of these roads to ensure that we don't lose lives during the Ember month.
In appreciation, park managers and other members of the motoring public appealed for frequency in the conduct of such initiatives, which also educated them on traffic signs, emergencies, road lanes and accident prevention.
What we need to say is just to appreciate them for recognizing us by bringing this program to us, to sanitize our river, to enlighten them for this Ember month and for the rest of the time coming.
We come to encourage them that it is better to arrive safely than to meet up with the target. Process of trying to meet up with the target, you might lose your life. And if someone died, you cannot meet up with the target.
The health status of drivers, drink driving, use of phone while driving, night travel, overloading, vehicle license, highway code, and other COVID-19 protocols were in focus at the event. Asabetanimu Williams, NTA News.
Let's shift attention to health matters. Figures from the Nigeria Center for Disease Control (NCDC) as at 9th December 2021 indicate 45 new cases of COVID-19 in the FCT. The number of confirmed cases stands at 23,730, while active cases now 260, and the number of discharged cases stands at 23,246. 224 deaths have been recorded in the FCT. And still talking health, citizens have expressed concern on the new Omicron variant, mainly because it is yet to be known if the COVID-19 vaccine also protects against the variant. Zubaida Abdulaziz Othman samples opinions of people.
Seen it online, but actually I didn't follow up with the story, because we in Nigeria, we have this mindset that there is nothing like COVID-19 in Nigeria. So this variant now that just came up, a lot of people don't really have interest in, getting to know what it's all about.
One of the things that you need to do is to wear a mask all the time, and don't go anywhere that you are not supposed to go. Be careful. If you see or you feel sick, go and do a test, and be sure to keep safe, as well as to keep your family safe as well.
Avoid large gatherings, wash your hands, and most importantly, try and take the vaccination.
And that's sampling of people's opinions sets the tone for our discussion, as I'm being joined in the studio tonight by Dr. Ikechukwu Oji. He is the Head Planning, Research, Monitoring and Evaluation Unit of the Primary Health Care Department, AMAC FCT. You're welcome to our studio.
Thank you for having me.
We would like you to also shed more light. Can you just briefly tell us what is really the Omicron variant of COVID-19?
Thank you.
Omicron variant is still the dreaded COVID-19 virus, but this is a variant in that there have been some mutations, some little changes in some of the properties of the virus. So, and it's been studied. This is B11529, and then it's been given the designation Omicron, because there has been other variants before now.
Yes, sure.
So it's still the same COVID-19
We had the Delta
virus.
variant.
We had the Delta variant before now,
yes.
and there are other variants.
Okay, this mode of spread, is it the same as the other variants we've had before the Omicron, or is there anything different about the mode of spreading of the Omicron?
Yeah, the mode of spread is still the same.
Okay.
You know, it's from the droplets, aerosol, from an infected person to another. Usually people who are sitting or standing less than 1 meter, you know, apart. So it's still the same. And it's still being studied. You know, it's been designated a variant of concern by WHO because there are some properties that have been seen in this virus that makes it look like, you know, it might have a different mode of operation or transmission, or maybe the severity of illness. Okay, but it's not been actually ascertained, but
for now it's still being studied.
It's still being studied.
Okay.
Yes.
Tell us, what are some of the early signs?
Oh, it's pretty the same. You know, when you're talking about COVID-19, there is the cough, the fever, the tiredness. Sometimes too, you have the headache, even the gastrointestinal symptoms like diarrhea, you know, running stool, chest pain, and then you also look at loss of taste, loss of taste can also come. In fact, some people might just present with loss of taste, and by the time you test, you find out that yes, they have the COVID-19. So it's still pretty the same symptoms, just like the
is still pretty the same, yet it has a new name. So
yes,
what is that
distinct? Because of some mutation in the properties. You know, this virus, they are being sequenced, and then we look at the properties, the amino acid, and all the other structures of this virus. So there are some changes. You know, what happens about the virus is that as far as they are being transmitted, you know, moving from person to person, that is their natural ability to change, to mutate, you know, and then have some changes. Once there are such changes, it may affect the way it works. You know, it might become more transmissible, you know, spreading faster. But at this point, you know, we cannot just conclude, you know, that is what it is. But it's still being studied and being overseen by WHO. There are researches going on all over the world, and data are being sent to the WHO for validation and then collation. So at the end of the day, we are still going to know much more about this Omicron virus.
Though from your explanation, almost everything is still the same, talking about the properties, but you mentioned something about severe illness.
Yes, yeah. It's still a speculation, looking at the change that it may cause severe illness, but that is why the study is ongoing, to actually confirm that. So, but because there have been some increase on cases in the areas that you have seen this virus, which has not been determined if it is actually because of the new variant. You understand? So, but there have been some spike of cases, like in South Africa, for instance, and then but it's being studied.
Okay. So does it still become, you know, active in the cell after taking the vaccine?
Yes. Yeah. You know, when you're talking about vaccine, the vaccine is still effective. You know, because the vaccine that we are using has can give a broad immunity. So, and even though there have been some changes in some of these new variants, what we have at the moment, you know, is still able to protect against this virus. But still, like I said earlier, it's still being studied too, and with time, we'll be able to know, because you will need to have an increased number of cases, to study this, to be able to say, yes, that the vaccine is not active against it or not. But from what that has been seen, how the vaccine works with other variants, for instance, too, there is that possibility that is still protecting against this new variant. Okay. However, like I said, mutation is something that we know that virus has as a property. So even the vaccine manufacturers already know this too, and that will also continue to study that if it comes to a point where the vaccine is not effective, then a new vaccine that will take care of this particular variant will also be developed, just like we have in the flu vaccine. Okay. But there are other vaccines now, for instance, measles vaccine, for instance, is still the same, and it still, takes care of developed new variants.
Okay, thank you very much, sir, for coming on the program. And from what we have gathered from you tonight, this particular variant is still being studied. Yeah. We hope to have you back in our studios if you have more information or more, unfolding share with our audience.
Yeah.
We appreciate your time with us.
Thank you very much. And before we go, I want to still tell the audience to keep wearing your mask, keep washing your hands, keep your respiratory hygiene, and get your vaccination when it is your turn. It still protects. Thank you.
Thank you. And you've heard from him. Get yourself vaccinated. Adhere to all safety protocols to stay safe. We'll go on a short break. More reports when we return on the news at 7.
Give your kids winning energy. Milo Active Go. With the goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa, helps them make the most of every day. Milo, the energy to go further.
Ina faɗa miki Zainab, ina tunanin mijina ya fi kowanne namiji a duniyar nan saboda yadda yake kula da ni da kuma yara na gaba ɗaya. Dubi irin kayan da ya siyo min yau. Kin gani ko?
Kamar sakamakon da yin kyauta ke bayarwa tare da tsarin Airtel na Airtel Family Plan. Soyayya ita ce komai.
Airtel, the smartphone network.
Welcome back. As global attention is focused on anti-corruption, the Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society is supporting all efforts towards this cause. This the organization is doing through a one-day sensitization for senior secondary school students on the need to shun corruption in its entirety. Zubaida Abdulaziz Uthman reports.
Corruption has been described as the enemy of development and of good governance, hence the one-day sensitization program for senior secondary school students. The organizers, the Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society, says part of its effort is to help authorities curb corruption with the theme of the program tagged Your Right, Your Role, which draws attention to our collective responsibilities as citizens in the fight against corruption and economic crimes.
The essence is to sensitize the young ones. We focus on the young ones because we discover that they are the one who has the tomorrow, and that tomorrow starts today, and that's why we have to start with them. And we believe we were able to change the mindset of the young one with this sensitization. I believe things will be better for us as a nation.
Speakers at the event advised youth to first engage in self-cleansing by purging themselves of prejudice and dishonesty, adding that they should set a mission with a view to eradicating all forms of corrupt practices in their immediate environment by reporting any act of corruption to the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) or through the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC's app Eagle Eye.
It is catching them from the younger age, of which ICPC has been dealing a lot in trying to address such anomalies.
Shop and scars where people have more money, where people will be able to afford food for themselves.
And we need a better Nigeria. We need a change.
Parents and schools were also advised to inculcate good morals in the children and youths, emphasizing the role which religious bodies such as Al-Habibiyya Islamic Society of Nigeria plays in molding the young ones. Zubaida Abdulaziz Uthman, NTA News.
A book written in Pidgin English titled Learn Nigeria Pidgin English Volume 2, aimed at fostering transboundary cultural relations, has been unveiled to the public. Our correspondent reports that the author, Bamidele Olowo Okere, says Pidgin English has a way of connecting Nigerians in diaspora. Pidgin English, though not an official language in Nigeria, has connected Nigerians irrespective of education status, with or without formal education. Mostly used in informal conversations, it was, however, made official in 2015 by the U.S. Census Bureau as one of their official languages. In order to promote the Pidgin English because of its easy way of communication, an author, Bamidele Olowo Okere, is championing the cause. Guests at the unveiling of the book, Learn Nigeria Pidgin English Volume 2, are of the view that so many languages are at the verge of extinction, so documentation of endangered languages becomes necessary, as Pidgin English has come to stay.
It is a young, growing, powerful language. It is not just well alive, but importantly, it is a lively language. There are many things that I like in Bamidele's book, but what I like the most, and actually love, of this book is that it reflects this liveliness of Nigeria Pidgin English, and does so in a candid, pleasant, and thoughtful way. I'm sure many readers will be struck by that.
Really help promote our culture in terms of communication. Even when we are outside our motherland, Nigeria, we can still have a language that we all communicate with, that we can all understand, and some persons will not understand it.
Bamidele Olowo Okere, who published the first edition in Uganda, thought it wise to expand the book into a compendium of homophones and homonyms of Nigeria Pidgin English words that cuts across Africa.
Behind the book, one is to promote our culture, which includes our language. We all know that in Nigeria, we have so many languages. The Constitution of Nigeria 1999 recognizes more than 500 languages and 250 ethnicities. Now, I'm English. So, to unify our great country, Nigeria, we need to recognize that we have a language that cuts across all the different ethnicities. And this is why I always tell people that Nigeria Pidgin English is a trans-ethnicity language. That is what it means.
The 166-page book with 10 chapters gave guests the opportunity to recite the national anthem in Pidgin English to the admiration of our president.
Better service, better network, data unlimited, Jaburata.
Nigeria, for Africa, and the world.
From all of us at Glow, we wish you joy unlimited. Give your kids winning energy. Milo Active Go. With the goodness of malt, milk, and cocoa, helps them make the most of every day. Milo, the energy to go further.
And on sports, all victory to Liverpool as they won the match against Aston Villa, which ended 1-0, as Australia Open tournament director Craig Tiley had earlier said that all tennis players must be vaccinated to participate in the competition next month. Let's join John Ojo with details on Sports Brief.
Liverpool fans jubilate as Mohamed Salah scored a penalty kick in the second half of the game against Aston Villa as the match ended 1-0. Former international Samuel Eto'o will run Cameroonian football for the next 4 years after being elected head of the country's FA on Saturday. Elsewhere, Max Verstappen will start on pole ahead of Lewis Hamilton for the winner's take all Abu Dhabi GP title decided after a masterful and unexpected performance in qualifying from the Dutchman and Red Bull. Moving to tennis, Per-Auguste Herbert has revealed he is not vaccinated against coronavirus and will not be playing at next month's Australian Open. Tournament officials last month confirmed that all players must be vaccinated in order to compete in Melbourne, with the tournament starting next month. With Sports Brief, John Ojo, NTA News.
And that concludes the news tonight. We thank you for watching. Do remember to take your COVID-19 vaccine and adhere strictly to safety protocols to keep safe. Enjoy the rest of your weekend. Bye for now.